Okay, so we're going to take a peek at that flat hook that is part of the Chapter 2 AutoCAD assignment, but it's Module 1B is actually the assignment that it's a part of. So I'm going to go underneath my camera here and make this full screen. And this is the part that we want to draw. And we're just going to draw the profile down here. So it's referencing this 3D model, but we are not going to be making that. But what we are tasked with is basically drawing, like I said, that profile down there and such. So so as we look at this, sometimes like I said, you don't have to start at the 0, 0, but if there's an obvious 0, 0 that seems to make sense with the part, sometimes it's just like, why not use it? And as I look at this part, you really have a choice of one of two places. I'm going to place my 0, 0 here, up here at the center where kind of the hook starts. But you could also put it here too. I think there's a a good reasoning that if you want to start there, you could. And if you don't tie it to the 0, 0, that's okay too, because you've got your friend, the from command that you can use for that too, if you need to. So the process that I'm going to go through is I'm going to start this as my 0, 0. So I'm going to start with putting my diameter of 45 at the 0, 0, its center. And then I'm going to put in a diameter of 100 or a radius of 50 circle around that shares that same center. Then down here, this portion, the large radius portion of our hook, shares in line the same center, but 180 millimeters down from our from our center up here. Okay, so we're gonna place that there, and then I'm gonna draw the circle for the outside, which has a radius of 130 or diameter of 260, and then I'm going to draw another full circle in the middle here that is going to have radius of 62.5 or a diameter of 125. Okay, so I'm going to get those things in place, and then I'm going to add the radius here, the tangent line. We're going to offset, which is a different command, but that's okay. I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll add that radius at the bottom. Okay. So I am just going to minimize that, go back to AutoCAD over here. And so I have my 0, 0 in the middle here. I just kind of panned it over. So I'm going to start with my center diameter circle. And down on my command line, it says specify the center point. So I'm going to put that, as I said, at my coordinate 0, 0. Okay. And I need this diameter to be 45. It's really tiny. That's okay. Kind of zoomed out. Okay. So then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add another circle center diameter. And this is going to be a diameter of 100 or a radius of 50. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay. Now directly down below, I'm going to add those two larger circles. So I'm going to go back to center diameter. Now this time, because I have those two circles at the top there at 0, 0, I can put in absolute coordinates, okay? Because it's going to go from that origin. So my coordinates this time are going to be 0, because it's going to be in line horizontally, comma, negative 180, because we're going to be going down 180 millimeters, okay? So then I'm going to hit enter, and there's my center. And the diameter, I'm going to do the larger one first, is going to be 260, radius of 130, okay? Then on that same center, I'm going to add one more circle. So I'm going to kind of activate here, grab the center, snap to the center. And then we are going to have a diameter of 125. Now, snaps. If you have those out here from the last time that we talked, you can do the snaps up here, or remember down at the bottom here, you can activate the running object snaps. And if you do the arrow next to it at the bottom, you're going to notice that these will always be active. And one that I always have active that it should be a default out of AutoCAD is going to be center. And that's why when I for instance, try to activate that center and get close to it, it'll snap to it. And that's something you do want to do. That way you can ensure that you're sharing the same center with other things and not just getting close. Okay, so now that I have those three circles in place, I'm going to add, I'm going to go back underneath. So I've got circle, 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 circle. Okay. I'm going to add in this radius right here. Okay. To do that radius, I am going to do a circle, a full circle, but it's going to be that tangent radius that we had used in our practice problems. So I'm going to go back to AutoCAD. So under circle, remember, wherever there's one of those down triangles, you have options underneath. There's more commands, so it expands. So I'm going to go down to tangent radius. And I'm going to get close to 1. So it automatically does tangent. And then the other tangent. And then now the command line is saying, what do you want for your radius? And I want 50. Okay. And now it places that circle right there. So I'll trim away what I don't need in just a bit. The other item that I want to add in now is going to be this line right here. Okay. So it needs to be tangent and tangent to that inside lower larger circle. Okay. So I'll go here. This is going to be the regular line command. And then now if I get close here, tangent isn't not one of my running object snaps that I have selected. So I'm going to go up to my object snaps menu. And there is a third way to do the object snaps. I'm going to share that with you now because that's actually the way I used to do it all the time. If you press and hold the shift key while you do the right mouse button, you get all your object snaps right here by your cursor. Okay. So I'm going to grab tangent and then it's going to be tangent here. And then as I go down here, remember it's only active for one command. Shift and hold right mouse button, and you can do tangent here as well. So sometimes you might, I think it's might be a little bit more convenient than going up and down and up and down. You can do it shift, hold, right mouse button to get all of the object snaps as well. Okay, so now I can end my line command with escape or enter. And now I've kind of got, a bunch of things here that I can trim away what I don't need. So I'm going to go up to my trim command. It's the scissors, and I'm going to click on the portion of elements that I don't need. Okay, there. And I think that's about it for right now. Okay. Now I got to work down here. So I'm going to hit escape or enter to finish that command. Good practice is always to finish a command completely before you start a new one. Okay. So now this is where I get to that offset. Remember I said we didn't go over the offset command, but I'm going to show you here because this is a perfect application of it. So if we go back and we look at our illustration, we have this line in place and you'll notice that the line over here, it's parallel. Okay. It's parallel to it. So to get a parallel item in, we can use what's called the offset command. And we're going to offset it the distance that we see here. So let's look at how that command works. Nice thing about AutoCAD, even if you aren't familiar with something, if you just kind of try it and watch the command line, because it'll always tell you what it's looking for, you can usually kind of, figure it out. But let's click on the offset command. It's 2 below the eraser, okay? And I'm going to click on offset. Now my command line says specify the offset distance. So that's going to be our 125. That's the distance we want between an existing line, the one that we see here, and then down below. So I'm going to put in 125, okay? And then enter. And then it's asking me, my command line says select the object to offset. So I want to select just the line, okay? And now it's activated. Now, don't click again, just click once, but move your mouse either up and to the left or down and to the right. Notice that that is how you're setting the side to put your offset on. So once you have where you can preview it, that the side is on the correct side, so it's going to be down and to the right, then you can left click that second time, okay? Now, it's not out of the command because you don't have your cursor back, so it's saying select objects to offset. So you can continue to offset more and more and more, okay? But we only need one, so we're just going to hit enter, okay? And the command is done. Now you should have your cursor back, okay? So now I can trim away the items that I don't need. So I'm going to go back up to my scissors. I'm going to get rid of this part, and then I'm going to get this little end out of there, okay? So now I have my hook almost done, except that very end there, we've got a little point instead of the radius that they have on the end here, okay? Now, you've done a command that we could use for that radius, okay? So let's go back. We could use what we used up here, tangent, tangent, radius, okay? And let's see if that could work. So let's go to tangent, tangent, radius. So if I go tangent, tangent, and then specify the radius, it's 25. There we go. It's going to put that in there. And then you've got to trim away the parts that you don't want. So that would be a logical way with the items that we've done. But I'm going to tell you about one more command that we haven't talked about that's here that's going to come in handy going forward. And it really is a tangent, tangent, radius, but it does the trimming for us. So it's a little bit of a shortcut. So I'm going to do the undo here. And the one that I want to show you is right below the eraser. It's the fillet command. The fillet command. If you've worked in industry, sometimes you do hear fillets and rounds when we round ends. Cast parts will have that, but we use them a lot to break and kind of round off edges and stuff. So a fillet, what it's gonna, I'll show you how it works. It's gonna ask us down here. It's going to tell us to select items, but we need to set the radius first because the default radius, if you haven't done in a session that you open up in AutoCAD, if you haven't done any fillets, it defaults to 0 and just makes everything like a sharp corner, okay? So we want to put the value of 25 in, okay? Because 25 is the radius of the fillet. So now down here, you're going to notice that they have some of these options. So we want to say R, enter, and then we can specify the radius. So you see how R is like a highlighted blue? So we can put R radius, and right now the radius is 0, but we want to change that to 25. Enter. And now it goes back and it says, okay, select your first object. So we want to select either the line or that curved portion. It's going to be the fillet between these two items. So I'm going to select the line first. It can be done in either order, and then the other one. And before I even click, notice it's giving me a preview with that radius. So I'm just going to left click on that radius. And now notice that instead of having to go back and do the trimming, it's already done it for me. So it's kind of a shortcut with trim on a tangent, tangent, radius, but we call it a fillet. Does that make sense? Okay. So I know you had to end up waiting till the very end, Ethan, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. So I'm gonna save this one and I will post it later tonight.